Christmas time. A wonderful time of sharing stories and celebrations with families. The tree is all decorated and lit up, and there's presents beneath the tree. And people can't wait for Christmas morning to open those gifts. But 2,000 years ago, when the world was spinning in darkness and waiting for the light to come, it wasn't about the morning. It was about that evening, about that night. You see, there were shepherds in the field. They were keeping watch in the night over their flocks. And what's fascinating is that Hebrew word for night, Halela, can tell us all we need to know about Christmas. You see, that word begins with the Hebrew letter He and it ends with the Hebrew letter He. He is symbolic of grace. What it tells us is that night was all about grace. It began with grace. It finished with grace. It was the grace of God coming to us. The next letter you see is the Lamed, the one that towers over them all. That's symbolic of the teacher of teachers, or the shepherd of shepherds, or the king of kings. So here within this night of grace, we see the King of Kings, the Lamed of Lameds. But that is only separated by the Yod in the middle. So what we see is at the heart of the King of Kings is this Yod. And the Yod, the smallest of all the Hebrew letters, is symbolic of atonement. Because that's what the night of grace was all about. It was about coming to atone for man's sins. And that's what he did. Underneath these letters, you'll find the Hebrew vowels. You'll find the dashes at the beginning, which is a patak, which means to open. So grace was opened by the king opening atonement for us. Then under the Yod, you'll see the Shavah, the two dots. And that is symbolic of contending with Jehovah. And this is what Christ did in atonement. He contended with God, the wrath of God. He took the wrath of God and made it our righteousness. Following under that, you'll see a T-like letter, and that's a kamatz, which means to grasp with the hand. And so, when the angels made the statement to the shepherds, "For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord," they were saying it can be grasped. Salvation can be grasped. It can be taken hold of by you. What this truly tells us, this Hebrew word night, if we look at it as a picture, what we find is that grace opened the pierced king to open atonement through contending under God's wrath, so that the king's grace might be a gift that is grasped. You see, the manger, which is stone, looks a whole lot like the empty tomb. And that tells us that it's all about Ephesians 2:8. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of your works, it is the gift of God. So in that silent night, that holy night, the Hebrew was screaming, it's about grace. It's about grace that atones for you and me. So this Christmas, accept the gift, the free gift that the angels sang about on that silent